Okay. We
All
are
right.
live.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
You want to ask first? You want me to ask first?
You can go first.
Okay. So let's just start by introducing yourself, I guess.
I'm Juliet. Juliet Poplava. People always get confused by my name. I am a second year double major in fashion design and merchandising and American studies.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I have a few hobbies. I like hiking, analog photography. I like traveling as well. Making smoothies and eating healthy I like a lot because I'm vegan. So.
Okay, nice. Do you have any of your own recipes that you use?
Yes, I use one of my favorite recipes at the moment is this pumpkin spice oatmeal. That's like a super jam-packed one. So it's flaxseed-based oatmeal with pumpkin spice, obviously, and then turmeric because it's an anti-inflammatory. So it helps a lot with like breathing and just decreasing like if you work out a lot and stuff like that, just helps to inflame. And then I do a pinch of pepper, which helps activate the turmeric to help bring down the inflammatory. And then I do walnuts, water, a little bit of like plant milk, just a little bit to make it a creamy. And then I will put in raisins if I have them, and then top it with hemp seeds just to give protein and a little bit more of like that nutty pumpkin-y flavor.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love eating it. I actually had it for dinner tonight.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, breakfast for dinner always.
I like breakfast for dinner too. I like usually eggs though.
Yeah.
I'm like an egg person.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess when did you start becoming vegan?
About November of 2018. So I've only been a little bit, but I did it because I was doing research on alternative ways that aren't medication and things like that for just being sore, bloated, feeling just very fatigued all the time and feeling kind of down. And the dumb's like not super depressed, but just more low. And people were saying it's a lot of what you eat and how you eat it. So I decided to go that way and I started watching documentaries, my favorite being Forks Over Knives. And it talks about like the whole plant-based diet and how it helps longevity and how it helps your bone growth and everything and just helps decrease a lot of health problems that keep existing by just eating better. And then I ended up watching The Cowspiracy, which is a really sad one that talks about like the effect of cows on our environment and things like that. And then I kind of was like, I basically don't eat meat just because I'm a college student, can't afford it. I eat eggs every once in a while because I can't afford those. I don't ever eat fish besides poke occasionally. And I was like, why not? I can go vegan and it's actually a lot cheaper. Like I find that I can eat more meals in a week as a student this way as well. Like I can eat 2 meals to 3 meals a day versus before it was like 2 big meals sometimes. So it's definitely a lot healthier for me. And I definitely feel a lot better at the end of the day. Like I don't feel exhausted or overweight or bloated. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, that's what made me choose to do it. I know a lot of my friends did it for just specifically animal sake. I did that too later down the road. But yeah.
I have a few friends that are vegan too. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I tried, I think. The food's pretty good, but I think I'm just so used to eating meat.
Yeah, yeah, no. I
It's
mean,
so
there's a whole psychology of how that came to be in our society that's really interesting as well. I forget where exactly I read it, but I've definitely read on the psychology of why we are raised from such a young age that we need meat and stuff to survive. And like one of the biggest things, like it's like the aggressive vegan mentality, I say, but it's the idea like when people ask us like where do we get our protein, where do we get our nutrients, I'm like, we get it where the animals that you eat get it from, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I like it. It's a fun process. My food's super colorful now, which is exciting. Like in a weird way, like it's not something I ever thought I'd be like, woo-hoo-hoo about like, but like I love building food because like I love building my meal plans and stuff because like I'm like, how can I get all of the colors of the rainbow in this week? And it's kind of just a fun time. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, do you have any other hobbies that you like to do?
Yes, like I said, analog photography is one of my favorites, and photography in general, but I think I'm starting to go more towards analog just because of its gritty and raw, not gritty, but like rawness and ability to only manipulate it so far before losing content, if that makes sense.
What does that look like analog photography? I mean, I've
And
never.
it's black and white photography. So
Okay.
it's like old school where you put it through the developers and film and everything like that. You're in the dark room. It's a very cool experience to like participate in just because it's one of the few art forms I feel like now that's still a not instant gratifying process versus like you go onto Instagram, you edit your photo real fast and post it. It takes about just to go through the whole process, it probably takes like 5 minutes per picture you're printing. And then to get the perfect image, it probably takes like 25 minutes to get there. And then you got to let it dry overnight and then you can really evaluate it. But yeah, it's super great. I have an example, but it's across the room from me. That's why I'm like looking over there. I'm like, I'm gonna get to it.
You should show it.
Let me go grab it. Hold on. Okay, almost fell down. It's
That's
so
cool.
So this one I did a little bit of experimentation with, where when you print a picture, you don't actually see what you're printing until you go through the whole entire process. So you kind of have a guesstimation. So I was like, I wonder what would happen if I move it while I'm projecting the image onto the paper and it's getting imprinted. And it created like this 3D effect to this picture that I really like. A lot of people hate it because it's very hard to stare at, but it's one of my favorites because the original print of this picture, the sign is in focus because I like to make obscure, funny art. Like I don't ever like to take art too seriously when I'm making it. It's a picture of Makapu'u that says no swimming, and then it says typically those signs, right, say if in doubt, don't go out, right? But someone accidentally sand covered the don't part, so it says if in doubt, go out, even though it says no swimming. And then behind it, I captured a bunch of people playing in the waves. So it's like one of my favorite pieces.
Oh,
Oh,
that's really
yes.
artistic.
Thank you. I like to have fun with it. I also did another one, but I don't have it because it's still being graded. I love MC Escher as an artist. Like I really enjoy his art. I love the repetition and the fun parts of it. My favorite is his staircase one that does like
Yes.
yeah
Really famous, right? The staircase.
yeah he does a staircase thing. So I kind of tried to recreate like a photo version of that and placed myself looking down to a very particular corner and catching people go up a staircase. If you're familiar to where Gateway is, the Gateway like dorms, there's like a staircase to go down to lower campus right there. It's on that staircase. And I shot it at golden hour, which created the most beautiful tonal range I've ever created with it. And it's just very effective technique for what I wanted. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else like you want to talk about yourself that's like, interesting? The places you've been when you traveled.
Oh yeah, I can always talk about traveling. So one of my favorite, even though it's not like an international travel, it was actually for my graduation gift. My sister has a camper, and she took me along with her and her 3 little boys, and we went up from the bottom of Arizona all the way up to the top of Canada in Whistler. Like we did a road trip along the coast, and it was so beautiful. There's some places that I still can't even believe are real. Like we went to this area. It was just like a little HO or KOA, I think it is called. I think it's called that. And you parked your camper, and then there's like this little. You just follow these trails of built bridges, kind of. They're just sitting on sand mounds, and these giant like gardens of flowers are on alongside it. And then all of a sudden, you get to the end, and there's like this big sand tunnel thing that you walk under, and then you're like at a beach in the middle of nowhere. That is stunning. It's freezing because it's like by San Francisco, but it's covered in pink, purple flowers, yellow flowers, grass, sand. There was a seal. It's like still like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to San Francisco, but yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been
I
up
was
cold.
like, yeah. It was freezing and when we went to Canada, it was horrible. It was so bad. It was so cold. I remember being like, I'm not gonna live, guys. At night, like it's not gonna make it. And like the weirdest thing happened there. We stayed at this like themed campground that was supposed to be themed creepy. And it was very creepy because like it's apparently the campground that all the college students go to during the summer. And they were having like a party at the beach, and like it was the dead of night, and I remember waking up to like dunka 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 like music, like tribal weird rave music going on, and being like, the fuck? Oh, like I was super terrified, and I woke up my family, and they were like, "Are you sure it's not just your heartbeat being freaked out by the place we're staying?" And I was like, "Guys, my heartbeat doesn't go boom," and I was like, "Listen," and they were like freaking out, and then like somehow we got hatchets involved. We were like, "We're gonna die, but we're not, but we are," and then like it was just a hilarious journey of like memories I probably won't ever forget. And I got to get really close with my nephews before I left for college, which was nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Probably that was important.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I think that's a lot. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay. So, do you have any hobbies?
I do actually. I think one thing that I really like to do, besides spending time with like my family and friends, it's like the normal that people like to do, is definitely playing music. I play and I write songs. I play mainly guitar, but I can play other instruments like the ukulele and piano, but I'm not really good at piano. I kind of just taught myself how to play piano and guitar off of YouTube.
Oh, that's impressive.
um, but yeah, I like writing. I used to write some slam poetry
Oh, wow.
a few years ago. Uh, it's definitely hard. It's time consuming, but it's something like, especially when you're, when you're stressed or like when you're irritated or mad or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like singing kind of just allows your emotions to just like let go. So
Yeah.
it like never fails me. Sometimes I just like pick up my guitar and start singing and like I could be singing like any kind of song, like happy song, sad song, whatever. But
Mhm.
always feel every single emotion. Like I'll end up crying like at the end of it, you know?
Mhm.
It's just because like there's so much emotion into it, you can just throw everything out. I'm the same way when I have to do like if it's a physical activity. So like let's say I go hiking or um and you just have a lot of things in your mind, so you kind of just want to be in like place that allows you to feel like just the sense of freedom away from like the city.
Mhm.
And that's a great thing about living in Hawaii, I think, is that you have access to the beach down the road. You have access to like the hillside up the road. Like everywhere we go, that we're like at least 15 minutes away from some place that we can just like get away from the city and like really think, like
Mhm.
and I love that. Like I love that fact. Um and so those are things that I kind of do um like as hobbies, but also to relieve stress for myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, you know, um like I'm not really introverted, I'm kind of extroverted, but sometimes you just need time by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. That makes sense. Those are definitely things like do. How did you said you got into writing and playing music through YouTube, slam poetry. How did you get into slam poetry?
Actually, I went to a few like slam poetry pieces. Like we've had some here where there was like competitions, and I went and I like just listened to people, and I thought it was so cool, and I was like, oh, like writing music is like writing poetry.
Mhm.
Um, the only difference is that it's your delivery, right? How you deliver it is different.
Mhm.
And so I kind of started started writing, like, oh, this is so like cool, let me try to write something. So started writing, and it started off as like slam poetry pieces because it was easier because the way you deliver it, it's almost like you're speaking.
Mhm. Oh, that's cool.
And it's when you sing a song, there's like different tones you have to use. There's different like ranges in your vocals. You either stretch your vocals or you like minimize your voice. um you have to sing at different range, like there's just so many things.
Mhm.
um the tempo, um when you write a song, your tempo matters. How you strum matters to the way that you sing. Like you're not gonna play a fast song and sing slower. You have to match everything.
Yeah.
um but when you write poetry, you say it how you feel it, and you can say it in the tempo that you want, because it's just your voice. Like it's your voice that's heard. People play music behind it sometimes, but a lot of the times it's just your words and your voice. That's it. So it was a little easier to start off writing through slam pieces. Um, and then as I got good at doing that, and kind of picking up the guitar at the same time, then I started incorporating song lyrics, and playing with different sounds and tempos and like strumming patterns, and that's kind of how it started. But it takes a long time. Like I wrote a few songs, but I've never actually finished a full song. Um, I sometimes I just like how I free write. I kind of free sing. Um, it's not really like I'd have to record myself because sometimes I forget. I'm like, what did I say? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's so hard to like get into the groove of it and then stop so you can write it down and then like get back into that same groove. So
Hmm.
I kind of just stay in the groove and like if I remember, remember. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah, I have a friend back home who's a rapper,
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
he's starting out, so it's a little rough right now, but I definitely believe he has some talent, and it's definitely a hard process. I've watched it take multiple nights on end, but for you, who was your do you have people who you like look for in information, inspiration? Do you look for like do you have certain artists that you see yourself more gravitate towards? Or do you think you're very or I guess like do you have someone you gravitate towards as like an inspiration?
Um, like I really like Tori Kelly, I think, as an artist.
Mariah or R. Kelly?
Tori Kelly.
Tori Kelly. Oh, she's okay, yeah.
Yeah, I really like her as an artist. I like Rihanna too. Just because she's well diverse. You know, all her songs are different. Um,
Yeah.
I think I like that about her. I like Tori Kelly's like the way that she carries herself as an artist. You know, like she's really humble.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, I mean, I love her vocals as well, but you know, you can have someone with great vocals, but um, it's really rare to find someone that is not really, they do what they love because they love it. You know, they're not doing it because someone else is influencing them to do it, you know, or not doing it um, for their fans or for people. They're actually doing it for themselves. Um, they're not doing it for money, you know. And I think that's the reason why I really like Tori Kelly as an artist because she's so honest and raw. Like she did a YouTube like kind of documentary. It was short though, and it was really basically about how she started like singing and why she started singing and like even after she became famous and everybody like you know wanted her to go in this direction and that direction. She talks about like how it was to feel like being pulled left and right but knowing who she is, you know, like as a person, knowing her like herself wise and not allowing um you know like society or um what is that, the producers and stuff like that really dictate the type of music that she wants to sing or like her the image that you know like she wants to portray to people. And you see it all the time, you see it a lot, you know, in our society where like for instance Christina Aguilera, right? Like she started off in Disney, and of course, you know, like you get older, but media portrayed her as innocent, right? Like when she sang "Genie in the Bottle," and then later on she sang this like other song, right? Which um, now that she's like
Are you
an
talking about
adult,
are you talking
um,
about like Dirty, her album Dirty? Or
yes, and then
yeah,
like
versus Genie.
she's more like now she's more explicit, right? Because she's an
Yes.
adult and like they needed to change her image so that she would sell more, right? And pertain to the clientele that our society is going into. So that's the reason why I like Tori Kelly is because she sticks to who she is, you know, like
Mhm.
regardless of what um, the producers tell her or like people tell her what to do. She's like, no, that's not who I am, and that's not what I want to do.
That's very interesting, actually. So you said some like very like cultural behavior aspects of things. So would you consider yourself someone that's interested in culture, like pop culture? Do you like how do you accumulate all this knowledge on pop culture is what I'm saying basically. Like how did you come about this? Because it's very impressive as someone who studies this. So
Um, well, I think it's because 'cause I've been around, the music industry for a very long time. Um,
mhm.
I've had so my uncle actually was in a band, a Hawaiian band called Kalapana, um, and it was 60s, I think, or 70s, I can't remember. But he was, one of the lead singers, and then my brothers had, a reggae band, where they both were lead singers, um, and it's called One Drop. And then, um, like, I have cousins that used to sing, here and there and stuff, like professionally, and then I have like friends, like people that I know that are, got into like rap and R&B, and then I think a lot of like that's kind of where it started for me. Um, I actually started singing more for myself, and I took a bunch of like not a bunch, but I've taken like singing classes or like not guitar lessons, but like ukulele um and even through that, I think I just watching like social media now compared to how like it was when I was younger. I know I look really young, but I'm actually like kind of old.
That's a good thing.
But like just learning from experience, like I talk to my friends all the time about like, oh, you remember when Disney Channel had such good movies or like such good shows, and now their shows are so junk. Like, and, like we talk about those things. So even like music wise, like music industries, like they portray so much things. Like they manipulate and control like a lot of what we hear today as like um what singers want to sing, they don't necessarily sing anymore, you know.
Mhm.
It's definitely run by the industries, because American society is based upon consumerism, right? Like
Yes.
money. How do you make money? And like, um, really, that's what it is. And so, like, it's kind of sad, people go into something that they originally love to do, and they don't necessarily follow it because the fact that every everyone around them is saying that that's not the right way to do it. If they want to make money and they want to live, and they have to change.
Mhm.
So I mean, I've taken a hip hop in American culture class too.
Oh yeah, that one. When did you take it?
I took that last semester, I think.
Was that one like informative and fun, or was it?
Yeah, it was fun. It was at the end of class, I mean, the end of the year, we have this project where we had to actually create our own like hip kind of like hip hop video, but it was more like you wrote a paper and you would video record yourself, and you would be speaking, you would read your paper, kind of like read it, or like you could sing it, whatever you want. And you would add in like these ad libs. So you'd add in ad libs and stuff like that, sounds, breaks, whatever you could find. You'd add it into your piece, into your video. And it was almost like you're creating your own music or sound, but the sounds that you would choose would kind of be based upon your paper. So however your paper is written, if you're talking about like um, women's rights or women's society and the music industry, you know, from the 70s till now.
Mhm.
And you're gonna use we used pieces that portrayed those societies, you know, like, or those kinds of music um, that really touched base upon the hardship or touch, you know, like depending on what part of your piece. So you take out pieces from other like songs that were like that talks about those things, and you place it into um, your piece as you read.
That's fascinating. That sounds like such
It
a
was
fun
a pretty
project.
cool class. It was kind of hard though. I've never done that before, so I was like, "How do you even do this thing?" Because I had to do it um on my MacBook. I don't know how to do that. I don't never cut pieces of music and put it into like, you know. But at the end of it, it was like a great experience, and it taught me a lot about music. And I never really like thought like, oh, I would learn so much about American you know, like society through music. And um it taught me so much, like how music industries control things and stuff. Like it's just like wow, it's crazy.
That's actually pretty cool. Do you think it helped you in your music?
I think so in some way, because a lot of people would tell me like, oh, you know, like you're really good, you should pursue it as a career. But I think I knew for a long time that it wasn't a path that I wanted as a career. And like there's a difference between like a hobby or something that um like you enjoy doing,
Mhm.
and actually making something else like a career, you know. um not every not everything that you enjoy doing is necessarily your career path, you know. And so I think I knew like that I didn't want to make it a career because it wasn't the path that I wanted. It was something that I wanted to keep and enjoy, you know, like for myself. And I didn't want to end up going into it as a career and then hating what society would do to it, you know, because that's something I enjoy. Um,
Yeah,
so
that
I,
absolutely makes sense.
yeah, I kept it as just a hobby or just something I enjoy instead of actually following a career path through it.
That's how analog film is for me. Like, it's just a lot easier of a piece of
Okay.
like something because I'm always sewing, I'm always doing some marketing or something like that. It's nice to escape and have that separation. So I understand that a lot.
Nice. We both have awesome like hobbies that we want to keep there, you know, and these are
Yeah,
things we can do till we get old. Like,
yeah,
you know, like
I,
working out is hard. You can't do that till you get old. You're gonna be like, no, 90 years old, I'm not gonna want to work out.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so do you have any other hobbies or anything that you do that you find different or
um,
interesting?
well, under it's not really, I guess, a hobby wise. It's just something that I really love doing. So, I do go on medical missions. I have been to Colombia twice and Guatemala once.
Oh,
Um, and I just love it. I think that's really what set me into the path of going into medicine. I mean, I was going into medicine before that, but
mm-hmm.
it really pushed me forward. And um, like, it's really the people that you do it for. If I can honestly say, like, I don't expect to make a lot of money doing it just because that's not the reason on why um, I'm going into this career path. But I do definitely want to change, like, just kind of people's way of living wise. And that's the reason why I don't want to really. I'm trying not. I don't want to go into MD. I'm actually going into osteopathic, which is more homeopathics.
That's so cool. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to show reaction, but I'm super, super, super about that.
Whatever. But yeah, like yeah, it's like it's that's so it's really hard though because it's either I'm trying to go in there or I'm doing that route as a nurse practitioner. Either way, I'm getting my doctorates towards it because I really want to like change people's habits more rather than just give them um, a easy solution. You know, um, that's the reason why I'm focusing on pediatrics because I want to help like I want to help the families teach the kids when they're younger how to take care of themselves um as in like how to eat healthier, how to stay, like how to continue to stay active in your life, how to those practices when children are taught young, they're gonna continue to live it out when they get older because it's easier, right? You're taught something young, you live it out, and then you reciprocate it to your children, right? And that's my whole thing is like we can only do so much in the now. Like people's mindsets, especially after you reach like the age of like 30, your mindsets are set, like it's really hard to change that. Um, and so targeting and hitting like the children of today will help not just society tomorrow, but it'll help more in the future. So it looks like it gives our future for our kids or our great grandchildren or whatever. It makes their future actually better. And that's kind of more on what I'm focused on. It's not so much the now, but I'm more focused on the generations.
That's, like I said earlier, I do agree with that a lot. But can you tell me what 2 places you've been to again for those mission studies? Sorry, I was trying to write it down.
It's okay.
Well,
I've been to Colombia and Guatemala.
and then which one was the one you went to twice?
Colombia.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, no. That's why I went vegan, is because it's more homeopathic way of fixing a lot of the health problems I was having. And I wasn't about to take medicine for things that could be fixed easier by just reshaping my habits for now, and meaning I'll be healthier in the long run and it's sustaining me longer in a sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So what are some of the health problems you had before?
I had like a lot more anxiety in a sense. Like I was just a very anxious person. Like I still have it, but I had also bad respiratory problems.
Oh, okay.
And then because of my anxiety, my stomach would be upset. I had like the IBS problem. And I realized I could at least control one of those aspects by eliminating foods that I know when I'm stressed out irritate my stomach. And those were mostly animal-based products. Ironically, like it wasn't even on purpose that I removed them. I just started removing them and realizing my body was more okay and was able to do things a little bit easier even when I was in a stress scenario. So, and then respiratory problems, my lungs just had like more inflammation. A lot of time, like I just get like naturally more inflamed than other people, I guess, in a sense, like with my stomach and my lungs, just because of how anxious I can get and also just breathing problems in general. So eating less things that make it harder to breathe and stuff just kind of helped everything as well. like being more conscious of being like, oh, that itchy feeling, like not allergic feeling, but like, you know, that itchy feeling you sometimes get when you eat certain foods. Being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat that food then. Just being a little bit more conscious of an eater was just kind of how it started happening.
That's good.
Yeah. Are you, I know this is not part of the interview, but I'm curious. Are you interested in, is it, I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it naturopathic? It's not it's like everything normal med school students do, but then they do like homeopathic practices 2 years on top. Is that what you're going for? Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I
It's
was
called
like,
it's a doctors in osteopathy.
okay. No, those are super. I was reading an article about someone pursuing it, and it was very interesting to read about like the process of it and why, like how the stigma behind people who pursue that formed, and how people are like, they're not real doctors, but in fact, if anything, you guys have more knowledge than the average medical practitioner. From what I read, at least, I could be wrong. But it was very, very intriguing.
Yeah, it's a pretty they don't have a lot of schools like it's called deal schools, and so and they don't have a lot of programs for it like in regular universities wise. So like let's say we have John Burns here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our John Burns here doesn't have a DO portion. If you go to John Burns here, you're going for MD. And then when you graduate from MD, then you can apply for a program somewhere else. Like, I don't know, let's say, hmm, there's a lot of DO schools in Oregon. So like, let's
That makes
say you'd apply for a school in Oregon and you do go to that school for like 2 years or something to finish your last 2 years. Um, but yeah, different schools have different requirements um, for it. So most people, if they're gonna go into, and there's not a lot, like literally in the U.S., there's probably like 10 schools or less that offer uh, doctors in osteopathy. Um, Not a lot of schools do it because it's still kind of, I wouldn't say it's new. It's been
yeah.
out for at least like 5 years or more, but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people pursue it just because most people, if they're going into medicine, they're going for their MD. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and technically, like you said, it's a homeopathic, more homeopathic practices. So they learn how to release certain like it's really cool. So like okay, let's see. Like chiropractors, right?
Yeah.
Um so when chiropractors crack a certain body part like in like your back or whatever, what it does is it releases a stressor, because that's the whole point on like let's say you have like a back pain, right? Lower back pain. So when they crack your lower back, they don't just crack the lower back, they crack like the whole back up to the spine. And the reason why is because each like portion has like pockets, and what it is like it's almost like built up like air or built up pressure. And so when they crack it, they're releasing the pressure. So a lot of people feel like, okay, to my back is sore. So what I do, first initial thought, oh, pain meds, right? Like
Yeah.
antihistamine or whatever. But you don't need that. If you were to go to a chiropractor and you were to crack your back, then your back would feel better for like longer than what it would be if you were to take antihistamine.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the air pockets are being released, right? Um, and so that's kind of things. That's an example of what um, DOs learn. They learn practices that other doctors like kind of use. So they'll learn practices like that. They'll learn
Okay.
how to like a little bit of chiropractor things. Um, that's like those things are like the extra added things besides the MD portion of their study.
Hmm. So there's a concept that I'm familiar with, but I wanted to know what your opinion is on it. Have you heard about the whole story behind like when you have a headache, instead of taking Advil or something like that, you're supposed to drink like 2 cups of water?
Um,
I don't know if that's just like a weird wives' tale, but I wanted to know what you would think on that, or what you would say if someone came to you and said they had a headache. What would you decide based on
uh,
what you knowledge? Yeah.
well, what I would recommend was, because this is something that I do for myself. Um, One, yes, you drink more water. Only reason why is because um, if your body is dehydrated, that could also be causing your headache. And so you want to drink water, um, just because you don't really know. Sometimes people don't realize their body is dehydrated because it's not like they're people are so busy in their day, and then
Mhm.
when you ask them like how much water did you drink, technically you're supposed to drink at least like 2 gallons, like 2 liters of water every day, like throughout your whole day. If you're not drinking that much, then of course your body is already dehydrated. Your body is made up of 90% of water. And so if you're not drinking that water every day, then you're losing a lot of water every day, and especially because like obviously you use the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
So like you're already losing water when you use the bathroom. You're losing water when you sweat, even if you're not sweating like profusely. Your body is already sweating throughout your day, like um and so you're already losing that water. So I would say that first, and then what I usually do is I do a lot of doTERRA, but I don't like you don't have to spend money on doTERRA because like the brand wise, um they make a lot of different like brands that do the same thing. um
Can you
Really,
spell that for me?
doTERRA,
Yeah.
uh, DOTEA.
A. Okay.
But it's like pretty much what they are is essential oils. So they're just and different oils work for different things. So for headaches, I usually use peppermint.
Cool.
Yeah, so peppermint usually works, and like um, you can either drop it into your water, or if you don't want to drink it, because like say some people don't like peppermint, like um, then you can rub it on top of your hands, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna smell it, or and then you're gonna rub it on your temple here. And
Okay.
what it does is like, cause skin, right? Just like how your skin absorbs like nutrients from the sun, vitamin D. It's whatever you put on your skin, it'll absorb. So it's gonna absorb like if you put like a little bit here and stuff, it'll absorb there. If you put it in the back of your neck, it'll absorb there, so the heat would just kind of absorb it. And then when you smell it, it'll activate like the whole system, right? You don't have to smell it too much because peppermint's kind of like um it's kind of harsh, like
Yeah. I
but
remember. I have a funny memory of that. Is that like it was like I think it was spearmint, not peppermint. But like my brother got spearmint on his board shorts and it went through his board shorts. And he was like, it kind of feels like my leg is burning. Like one time, and I was like, well, don't know what to do for you. But yeah.
yeah, so that would be what I would recommend. It usually works. You just give it like I don't know, maybe an hour, but it'll work after that. And then if it doesn't work, I would say just try it again and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
A lot of times, your um your body is exhausted and
Mhm.
it just needs rest. And so a lot of times you just if you go to sleep, you'll wake up the next morning feeling better.
I agree to that. Let's start with me.
I wrote everything on a piece of paper, so I'd have to put my post-it notes. I didn't put it on post-it notes. I didn't write on post-it notes.
I've been doing it as we went. That's why I keep turning this way, is because I have a big giant map over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wrote it on my paper because I was like, oh, so much stuff to write. Like,
Yeah,
like,
no, feel that. Ooh. I'm wearing contacts and I've been wearing them probably too long. But I think I have enough information at least. Do you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do
We
we
can
have
at
to
least
show our stuff to each other, or we just have to?
we can. I can show it to you.
Wait, let me see.
Can you see it? I can also just read it to you if you want.
Oh, I think we're good. Yeah, it looks nice. Hold on.
And then it's like, it's so cute. I love it. Oh.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I was like for thinking, I was like, she's passionate, hardworking, and then I was like, she feels talented. She's a very grateful person, and I was like, the story of like how you got into medicine and stuff is over here. And then I took notes for myself in the note section partially, and I was like, yes, peppermint oil.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
I'm actually thoroughly enjoying these techniques we're learning, like the wallet
Yeah,
synthesis. Like I would totally use that for like my design theories and exhibit designs. And when I have customers, this I could totally use to help like take that a step further and connect to people. Like I was like, this is so cool. I've been nerding out about it. But yeah.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
know. I enjoy it too. I think for my wallet one, it was so funny because I ended up making the girl because she really like she talked more about her getting a car, and so
Mhm.
I ended up actually making her a car.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I believe I made this car. So weird.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. There we go. But we can at least end the live, I think, and then we can just stay on until we get the link and everything available to ourselves if you want.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop the broadcast.